I'm Dr. Cassie Preston, a mental performance coach and founder of CP Mindset. And today I'm going to walk you through how to mentally bounce back from a sports injury. Getting injured is one of the biggest challenges in sport. So having the mental strategies to overcome this adversity will help you to first and foremost stay motivated despite not being able to play or train within the sport you love. Second is having the resilience and grit to persevere through the recovery process. Next, these strategies help you remain confident in your abilities and trust yourself as you return to play. Lastly, they'll also help you focus on being a great teammate and becoming a better leader as you look to contribute to your team in other ways. The bottom line is when you return, you'll be able to perform like you have not missed a beat. When athletes apply these strategies I'm about to cover, they often come back even better than they were before they were injured. Unfortunately, most athletes don't see the opportunity or the silver lining that being injured presents. Big challenges equal big growing opportunities. And so injuries are a great mental challenge. So that means they're also a great mental growing opportunity. No one wants to be injured, but when it happens, you might as well make the most out of it. And one of the greatest benefits is to use the extra time and energy to strengthen your mental game. So those three strategies are first and foremost to reflect on your mindset daily. And I'm going to show you what specific questions and how to do that. Two is about scuba diving. And I give it a great analogy to help you focus and stay mentally in a great spot so you can keep focusing on what you can control and make progress. And the third strategy is about leadership. It's finding new ways to contribute. And quick reminder here to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And if you're interested in mental performance coaching, some one-on-one our programs, you can find out more at cpmindset.com. So strategy one is about self-reflection, particularly on your mindset, because it can be really easy to get consumed with what you cannot do and all the things that aren't going your way and the challenges, and you can get really negative and therefore not make the most out of it. So what I want to contrast though is focusing on what you can do, because there is lots of things that are still within your control. And instead of waking up and focusing on what you can't do that day, can't play, can't train, well, what can you do? So whether that's mental training, which we're covering today, obviously, or maybe it's being a good teammate and leadership, which we'll also talk a little bit about, or is there something else in terms of other areas of your life or other types of training, etc. And so the more we focus on what is going our way, what we're grateful for, what we can do, and you start your day that way and keep it going, that's how we're going to make the most out of what is a tough situation. And so what we get athletes to do when they're particularly in these tough situations is what percentage of time and energy are you on this make the most out of it, can do mentality versus caught up and focusing on what's not going your way, blaming, complaining, getting negative. Now, to make this clear though, and a common mistake is that we're trying to encourage people to be positive. That is not the case. This is not about being positive. There's challenges. It's tough. And it's certainly not about being negative. That's not going to work either. But most people are oscillating between these two. Oh, I got to be more positive. Oh my God, I'm negative. And they're going up and down. And instead, it's about going in this different directions, but towards being centered, staying neutral, seeing it for what it is, and learning and growing. Instead of getting negative and overly focused on what you can't do, we focus on what we can do, what is going our way, how we can learn, how we can grow. And that mentality is how you move forward and stay centered. And so that becomes the main question again, is reflecting how much is your time and energy being here versus down in negative town, which isn't going to serve you. And so sometimes it can be you're starting at 50% here, it could be lower, it could be higher. And the goal is to work towards 95% plus. Not perfect, but hey, I'm going to come up with the right mentality, the mentality that's serving me the most every day. And what's important to note about this mentality as well is not only is it going to make the most out of your recovery process, it will serve you a ton when you return to your sport, because it's the resilience and the focus on what you can't control will carry forward when you return. All right, strategy two now is about scuba diving. And the analogy that I'll use to explain what that means and help us get in a better state of mind so we can focus on the progress itself is surfing. And so if you think of your sport and getting to play and train and practice as surfing, that's what we want to do. We want to get out there and go ride the waves and train. We're going to fall, make some mistakes, but we're going to brace and enjoy the sport. But when you're injured or you're on the sideline or sometimes we have this with athletes that get healthy scratch or don't get enough playing time. Well, that's like getting waves to the face. It hurts. It's like you're watching everyone else surf and you're just not allowed to go. So this can be overwhelming. It's definitely not what we like. It's not enjoyable. And so sometimes people think about, well, I'm just going to completely check out and run away and go all the way into town and leave the ocean altogether, etc. Well, that's not going to serve you well. And so instead, what we want to think about, well, don't just sit there and take waves, but don't check out, start to scuba dive. And the idea is put some scuba gear on. So you're still there. You can still train and make progress, but you're not caught up with all the noise and the waves in the face. You're now in a better mental state, physical state, where you can focus on what you can control, still make progress while under the water. And then when you get the tap on the shoulder, once you're back, well, then get back on the board and start surfing again. And so it's again about creating a narrative, an analogy for a mental state that helps you then focus on what you can control and keep making progress despite not getting to do the main thing that you enjoy doing and making progress on. So some of those key behaviors that you can focus on doing, and we alluded to them a bit earlier, is imagery is a huge one of playing your sport. What do I want to do and how do I want to feel while I do it? We can also do coping planning is the other side of it, which is like when certain stressors happen, how will I respond? And so as you're returning from an injury, and particularly maybe if you got injured while playing and now you're afraid to get injured again, that's a huge part. It's called coping planning or planning to cope with the stress or the fear or the worry. And so sometimes often in sports, even like your coach is yelling or etc., how am I going to respond and not let that throw me off or if I make a mistake, but also just rehearsing over and over again. Well, what am I going to do and how do I want to feel? And the key parts to your performance, your game, that is a key thing that you can do 5-10 minutes a day, maybe even a bit more quality intentional stuff. And we've got imagery and free recordings, particularly for hockey players, for forwards, D and goalie. You can go check those out. Now, the other cool one that I find very interesting, I wrote down as Wolverine healing from the X-Men. It's a different type of imagery. And it's been proven that when you imagine, you close your eyes and you imagine you got a broken bone and you imagine it healing itself like Wolverine does in the movies, and he does it quite quickly, right? But that's actually what you're doing. Like our bodies do heal itself. And so setting the intention and the imagery of it actually has been proven to increase your recovery speed and the strength of a recovery. So, whether it works or not, there's a bunch of other things you can go dive into the hard research on it. But it's that, again, something you can do, and it gives you a sense of control that you're making progress and you're putting attention. And what it's about, the basis of is increasing blood flow and helping get into the right nutrients and the things that are going to help your body recover. So I encourage you to give that one a try. Now, two other ones to highlight here. One is attacking other areas of your life. Maybe you can focus more on school or work or things that you've been putting off, or family time or social time or other hobbies. And so it is an important thing and a good reminder as an athlete, because where our identities are often so caught up in I am this, I'm a hockey player, I am a soccer player, I am that persona, and that is who I am. And there's the majority of what I am. But there's much, much more to you than being an athlete. And so tackling and addressing and embracing other areas of your life and giving those time and energy is part of how do you recover. And then it'll actually help you play better when you get back. Another good way to think about this, often coming back from injuries, is a great time to physically and mentally get refreshed, because you're getting so much time away from the physical training, the grind, etc. You're not going to be just physically refreshed and ready to get after it, but also mentally, because if you address and go in and spend more time and energy in some other areas of your life. Now, the last one is obviously, what are the other things you can control in terms of rehab or any extra training? And so obviously doing all of that, maybe focusing on things you haven't put enough energy and attention to that you can still do that don't hurt. Obviously, concussions is one of the toughest injuries because there's a lot you then can't do, and there's a lot of other stressors within it, but these same concepts do apply to a degree. One of my favorite examples of the extra training came out recently is Connor Bedard, hockey player playing for World Juniors, upcoming phenom. They talked about, there's a story of him when he was about 11 years old, broke his wrist. And then so it was like, no, you're not allowed to shoot anymore. Can't use that wrist. And so for the, whatever it was, 8 weeks, he wasn't, or 12 weeks, he shot with his other hand, just did one-handed stick handling stuff. And then that hand became actually a really important key concept to what helped make a shot and a shot jump multiple ways. So actually doing different training, unique training, extra training can serve you and can help you develop in unique ways. And doing video review, IQ stuff related to your sport is also great ideas and concepts and strategies that you can implement. All right, so let's wrap up with strategy 3 here about finding new ways to contribute, which is all about leadership. And if you do the first two, if you're focusing on what you can do, making the most out of it, you're doing the scuba diving well and then making progress on these different areas on strategies and exercises you can do, you're primed to be a better. And this becomes a really important concept for multiple reasons. And the first main one, though, is the void. We feel a void when we're not playing, not getting to be a part of the team the same way we would like to and contribute how we would like to. But you can still contribute. And being a leader is a key way to contribute. You are a part of the culture. You can influence others in other ways. So it might not be the way you want in the intended and the favorite one, but it is still a very important way to contribute. And then the other side is also developing just the leadership skills, because most athletes have this great opportunity to work on leadership and communication, interaction with others, but we often don't do it. And we're not in a good mental state to do it. And we don't focus on doing it because we're just so caught up in the sport itself. And so this is a great time to prime and focus on, well, what are my leadership skills? How am I influencing others and holding myself accountable to a great mindset and mental state, and therefore encouraging and working with others to do the same and create that team culture and impact. So here are three key leadership behaviors and skills and ways that you can now contribute regardless of your injury. And so first and foremost is to provide one-on-one encouragement, because it is one of the best forms of leadership and contributing on the human skills. And so think about it often where you go straight to, well, leadership is about accountability and constructive criticism and pushing people. No, encouragement's one of the best things. You find someone struggling or they could use a little boost or encouragement, that's going to have a massive impact on their mindset and their ability to move forward. All right, a second one now I call beacon of light. And the idea here is within a team, there's always about building momentum, always about dark, tough times, challenges come up. Well, who's got the energy? Who's bringing the energy, being the spark? And despite all the negative stuff or noise or challenges, we can stay focused on having fun, enjoying the process, focus on what we can control. And so if you're doing that while injured, that's a great beacon of light. You're affecting the culture, whether it's in the one-on-one interactions, your body language, or how you're speaking to the team as a whole. And then thirdly is to coach, whether individuals or the team, giving that constructive feedback. And this is not to step on the toes of the coaching staff, but being an elite athlete is about getting feedback and coaching. And so teammates can do that with each other. And it's a great form, again, to encourage and help the team grow and move forward, and doing that in effective ways. Because we often, as athletes, we're afraid to have some healthy conflict. We're afraid to give other people feedback. And it's actually a great tool, and it's a great life skill that we want to learn and adopt and get comfortable and used to using, because that's a great way to progress and as a leader and as a person. All right, that summarizes it. There's obviously lots more and other ways to look at this, but the simple summary here is, first and foremost, make sure you reflect on your mindset daily. It is a silver lining to be able to grow your mindset, your mental game. And so having some questions and tools and strategies to work on around that is first and foremost. Then to make sure you're in the right mental state, not getting on board with the waves, do some scuba diving, use that analogy, that concept, so you can focus on what you can control and then do the work to keep making progress in your own way. And then lastly, find new ways to contribute. You can stay connected to the team, the enjoyment, and develop those leadership skills. And like I said, if you do these three things and you do them well, then you can have a huge growth and impact and actually come back stronger than when before you were hurt. And so we see this often happen because they're so rejuvenated, they're so focused, their mental game grows. And so that is an opportunity in a way of getting hurt. No one wants to get hurt, but while you're hurt, you might as well be making the most out of it. Okay, so thank you for listening. I hope you found this helpful. Please share this with anyone you know that's injured, because if it can just help a few more people deal with an injury, because it's so tough to be injured mentally, that's the point of this video. I hope it helps. And obviously like, comment, and reach out if you have any questions. If you want some one-on-one coaching, particularly if you're injured or not, to work on your mindset and your mental game, you can find out more at cpmindset.com. All right, see you in the next video.